This is the technical guidance video for the 2023 MTEC Submission Workbook. The welcome sheet is where you will see the name of your department as well as the contact details of your public finance representatives within the National Treasury. Next to that, there's a place to input your department's contact details. And once the entire workbook has been completed, you can send it to us by clicking the Submit Input button. And this generates an automated email that can be sent to us. On the notes sheet, you will see a description of the terminology that is used throughout the workbook. Below that, we have a link to the guidelines that you can access on your web browser. In terms of the security warning, you can click on Enable Content, and then if you get the privacy level pop-up box, you can tick Ignore Privacy Levels and then click on the Save button. In this table, we have the calculations that are used in the workbook, and you can see all the formulas for the different growth rates that we use. In terms of the general setup of the workbook, the gray shaded sheets are the pivot tables and summary tables, where the information presented here are extracts of the data captured in the other sheets. The main data sheet is red, and then the individual spending review input sheets, the other reallocations sheet, and the summary of these sheets are green. You'll also notice that the format of the workbook hasn't changed much from last year's workbook. The main change from last year is that we used to have a functionality where departments could choose to complete the workbook at level 3, economic classification, but we needed a uniform consolidation of the inputs, so the workbook must now be completed at level 4 economic classification, where the Econ 5 column here only includes transfer item details. The data sheet is the main input sheet, and the steps to be completed for the sheet can be seen in this summary box at the top here. Each step has a link that will enable you to easily navigate to that specific area. We start by capturing the name of our spending reviews in the yellow shaded area here. I've captured one as an example, and then step 2 is to record the financial impact for each spending review topic, as well as any other reallocations. Each spending review topic has its own area to record movements from and to a budget item for each of the 3 MTEF years. Formatting has also been applied to the From area, where you will only be allowed to input negative numbers. In the same way, the To areas will only allow you to input positive amounts. The other reallocations area is similar in that it records the reallocations from and to a budget line that is not part of the spending reviews. After your spending reviews and other reallocations are captured on this data sheet, we move on to the individual SRT and other reallocations sheet. At the top of each SRT and the other reallocations sheet, you'll see the name that you already captured on the data sheet for your spending review topic. And below that is a quick view table of the economic classification and division of revenue changes. To the side here, we see some useful visuals, and these are drawn directly from the inputs captured in the data sheet. So there's no need to do anything for this top half because it all comes from the data sheet. Going down the sheet, we have an area to capture the impact of the adjustments made. We start by capturing the current expenditure, and next to that, we will record the budget according to the spending review outcome. This will then give us a percentage that can potentially be saved. We'll do this for the 3 MTEF years, and the description box below this will provide for the narrative of the impact on service delivery. The performance indicators may be affected by the spending review, and we capture these changes, if any, here. So for the MTEF, you can capture the original target and then the revised target after the spending review outcome. There's also a place to make a comment, and then you can choose from the drop-down list which MTSF priority the performance indicator relates to. Moving down, the impact on headcount numbers, if any, can be captured in this box. And the same is true for the infrastructure spending, which can be captured here. So all 4 of the SRT sheets, as well as the other reallocation sheet, are in exactly the same format, and the sum of these sheets are combined into the summary sheet here. This summary sheet can be submitted to us, and at the bottom it's got a space for the financial officer to sign. Going back to the data sheet, the final step in completing this workbook is to align the preliminary outcome numbers for 2021-22 with the annual financial statement numbers. We have pre-populated this column with data sourced from Vulindlela and the IYM, but it must be verified with the final department budgets that were submitted to the Auditor General. We then have the completed workbook showing us the final budget allocation amounts for the 3 history years. We have the 2021 preliminary outcome, and then we have the 2022 E&E budget baseline numbers until 2024-25. For the new outer year baseline, we made some technical adjustments to the 2024-25 baseline. We also removed any non-recurrent expenditure. This then gave us the base from which we applied a growth rate of approximately 4.48% to arrive at the new 2025-26 outer year baseline. Then after all the reallocations are applied, we get a new revised final baseline for the 2023 MTEF. Please ensure that there are no red shaded cells in the revised baseline columns. Red shaded cells reflect negative budgets, and they indicate that more funds have been removed than what is available in that line item. This can be corrected through the appropriate reallocations to and from. Once the negative budgets have been removed, you can check that the workbook balances to the overall department ceiling number as shown in this box here, as well as the COE ceiling number here. The ceiling amounts should not be exceeded. All this data then gets drawn into a set of pivot tables. The first pivot gives you a comparison of the adjustments between the revised baseline and the starting baseline growth rates. We can compare the year-on-year growth rates as well as the average annual growth rates for the history years and also for the MTEF. Please remember that your pivot can also be manipulated to view the data in different ways by using the slicer functionality and the filters. Please also remember to refresh your pivots before you use them. The second pivot is similar to the first, and you can choose the data columns you'd like to see. So I do this by using the slicers above, and it reflects it in a summarized pivot per department program. Next is the service delivery impact sheet. Please remember to refresh this table. This sheet is a table that consolidates all the service delivery impact inputs captured on the individual SRT and the other reallocations sheets. And you can see all the consolidated data inputs in one place for easy analysis. The same is true for the performance impact sheet, the infrastructure impact pivot, and the personnel impact pivot. Please also remember that this personnel impact sheet does not show the full personnel numbers for the department, but only shows the changes as captured in the SRT and the other reallocations sheets. Finally, we have the HRBP pivot sheet, where you can import the data from your HRBP using this button at the top here. Please ensure that your HRBP file is open before you import it. And this brings us to the end of our video. Thank you for watching. If you have any further queries, you may direct them to us.